Welcome, the spicy ladies. Silence isn't empty. It's full of the answers they already figured out. Most people misunderstand Sigma females. They're not being cold, rude, or standoffish. They're just done pretending. Done entertaining people who drain their energy. Done responding out of politeness when their gut says to pull away. The harsh truth is that when a Sigma female ignores someone, it's not a mood swing or a dramatic act. It's a decision deeply rooted in self-respect. Sigma females move differently. They don't need an audience or applause. They've seen what happens when you keep giving to people who only show up when it's convenient for them. That's why they pull back. That's why their silence is louder than most people's words. It's not bitterness, it's clarity. And if you're a Sigma female, here's the truth. Your silence has value. It speaks for you. You've learned that not everyone deserves access to your mind, your time, or your presence. You felt the weight of conversations that went nowhere and people who only half listened. Now you protect your peace like it's sacred because it is. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for choosing distance. Some people weren't meant to understand you. They were meant to reveal themselves, and they did. Keep your standards where they are. Keep trusting your gut. And remember this. The power in your silence comes from the wisdom it took to earn it. Let's get started. The spicy ladies. Number 1, they're not avoiding you. They're escaping noise. This is something most people just don't get. When a Sigma female pulls back, goes quiet, or straight up ignores someone, the average person takes it personally. But the truth is, it's rarely about you. It's about everything that feels fake, forced, and draining. Sigma females have zero tolerance for conversations that lack substance or people who speak just to be heard. Their silence isn't rejection. It's a reset. They live in a world that never shuts up. Everyone's performing. Everyone's on. Social media, fake friendships, loud opinions, constant updates. For a Sigma woman, that constant hum feels like mental clutter. And when things get too loud, she doesn't raise her voice to compete. She disappears quietly, cleanly, without warning. Not to be rude, but to breathe. She's the kind of woman who can feel tired after a 5-minute conversation if it's full of empty words. She's not impressed by small talk or surface-level connections. She wants truth, depth, stillness, and when none of that is present, she chooses distance over politeness. That distance is her form of protection. It's her way of saying, I've heard enough. You see, Sigma females have trained themselves to preserve their peace. They've had to because they've lived through fake smiles, shallow flattery, and people who only show up when it benefits them. Now, they keep their energy sacred. If a person or a space starts to feel heavy or chaotic, she'll exit quietly. No drama, no warning, just silence. And here's what makes her different. She doesn't need to explain that silence. She knows what it's worth. She knows it's her boundary, her clarity, and her healing all wrapped in one. So the next time a Sigma female goes quiet, don't rush to fill the silence. Pay attention to what made her leave it there in the first place, because she's not avoiding you. She's just choosing peace over performance. And that choice speaks louder than anything she could ever say. Number 2, they don't chase energy, they filter it. This is where most people get it wrong. A Sigma female isn't cold. She's cautious. She doesn't just let anyone in because not everyone deserves to sit close. She has learned the hard way that some people come with strings attached, emotional price tags, and energy that feels heavy before they even say a word. So now she filters quietly, sharply, without guilt. She pays attention to how people feel when they enter her space. Not what they say or how they present themselves, but the energy behind it. Is it calm? Is it honest? Or is it performative, needy, chaotic? If the answer is anything less than real, she steps back. Not out of fear, not to be distant, but because she has learned how costly it is to keep the wrong energy around. She doesn't fight for attention. She doesn't force connections. If it flows, it flows. If it feels off, she cuts it off. She won't explain it. She doesn't need to. Her peace matters more than anyone's confusion. And the best part, she can love people deeply and still choose to love herself more. If you drain her, if your presence starts to feel like a job, she won't debate it. She won't start a fight or make a scene. She'll just stop showing up emotionally, physically, silently because she knows the truth. Not every room is meant for her. Not every connection deserves her energy. She does not chase. She does not beg. She observes. She filters. And she walks away when it costs too much to stay. That's the power of a Sigma female. She doesn't need to be surrounded to feel whole. She's already full. So if you ever feel her pull away, understand this. She didn't leave because she wanted less. She left because you offered less than what she no longer accepts. Number 3, they've learned that not everyone deserves closure. Sigma females don't hand out emotional explanations like candy. They've realized something most people haven't. Some goodbyes don't need words. Some exits speak for themselves. If someone disrespected their boundaries, played games, or treated their presence like it was optional, that person doesn't get a front row seat to their final words. They get silence. Full stop. This isn't about being petty. It's about protecting what took years to rebuild. A Sigma female has had to gather herself from pieces more than once. She's had to learn that peace is not something you find. It is something you create. And once created, you guard it like it's the last clean air in a polluted world. So when someone comes along and disrupts that peace, they don't get a second chance to explain. They get distance. She doesn't owe closure to people who knew better but did worse anyway. If someone couldn't value her when they had access, why should she spell things out when she walks away? Silence becomes her boundary, her final word, her cleanest goodbye. It's not pride, it's clarity. Because giving closure to people who repeatedly cross lines is like giving them permission to do it again. Sigma females would rather be misunderstood than reopen doors that lead nowhere. They don't have the energy to re-explain what was already clear. They're not here to fix people. They're here to protect their peace. And that's what makes them different. They don't chase apologies. They don't beg for understanding. If you hurt them and they go quiet, consider that your answer. They are not disappearing to be dramatic. They're disappearing because staying would cost them too much. So if you ever find yourself cut off without a conversation, remember this. You weren't forgotten. You were filtered out. And the silence you hear is not emptiness. It's a boundary you crossed without realizing it. Number 4, they don't ignore to punish. They ignore to protect. This is something most people misunderstand. When a Sigma female goes quiet, it's not some passive-aggressive move or a cry for attention. It's strategy. It's protection. It's her way of stopping chaos before it ever has a chance to grow teeth. She knows exactly what emotional drama looks like. She's lived through enough of it to recognize the early signs, the tension, the bait, the raised tones disguised as concern. So now she acts fast. She cuts the cord before it tangles. What many see as silence is actually her shield. She refuses to give energy to arguments that go in circles or people who only feel alive when things are messy. If you thrive on conflict, she becomes unavailable emotionally, mentally, physically. She will not wrestle with someone who needs chaos to feel close. That is not love to her. That is war. And she is done playing soldier in relationships that feel like battlegrounds. Sigma females don't enjoy ignoring anyone. That silence doesn't come from cruelty. It comes from experience. She's learned that not everyone wants resolution. Some just want reaction. Some just want to be right. And instead of feeding that cycle, she chooses silence. Not because she is weak, but because she has nothing to prove. She knows that arguments laced with ego lead nowhere. She knows that loud people often miss the point. So she leaves quietly before the storm hits because her energy is not up for debate and her peace is not a bargaining chip. So, if a Sigma female stops engaging, don't assume she's trying to punish you. Understand this instead. She's trying to protect herself from a version of you that doesn't know how to handle her calm. And sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can do is say nothing at all. Number 5, your words matter less than your energy. You can rehearse the perfect sentence. Say all the right things, even wear the right expression. But if your energy is off, a Sigma female will feel it like static in the air. She doesn't just listen with her ears. She listens with her gut, with her nervous system, with the quiet instinct she's learned to trust more than people's performances. Sigma females are wired differently. They don't respond to charm or carefully chosen phrases. They respond to truth, to presence, to congruence between what you say and what you carry. If there's a gap between your words and your energy, she'll sense it before you finish your second sentence. And once she feels that mismatch, she pulls away. Not out of suspicion, but because her intuition already gave her the full picture. She's not looking for the perfect communicator. She's looking for someone whose energy doesn't lie. Someone whose vibe doesn't shift depending on who's watching. And the moment she feels forced friendliness, fake empathy, or hidden tension, her interest disappears. She doesn't need an explanation. She already got the message. It just came without words. This is why you can't manipulate her with charm or smooth talk. She doesn't operate on what's said. She operates on what's felt. And if your emotional frequency feels dishonest, aggressive, or heavy, she won't confront you. She'll just tune out quietly without a scene. Because Sigma females have grown allergic to emotional dissonance. They don't argue with words. They don't need to. They just listen to what your energy is saying behind the mask. And that always tells the truth. So if a Sigma female seems distant, ask yourself this. Did your words match your presence? Because with her, your energy isn't just part of the conversation. It is the conversation. Number 6, their standards are internal, not external. You could have the resume, the looks, the charm, and a crowd around you, and it still wouldn't matter to a Sigma female if your soul feels disorganized. She's not impressed by surface-level achievements. She doesn't care how many people like you. She's not measuring you by the usual standards because hers are built differently, quietly, deeply, internally. You see, Sigma females don't chase aesthetics. They chase alignment, emotional clarity, consistency. If you walk around polished on the outside but carry chaos on the inside, she'll sense it and mentally log you as noise, not an enemy, not someone to fight, just irrelevant. She won't bother with small talk or fake interest. She'll simply disconnect without fanfare. She doesn't ignore you to be harsh. She ignores because she filters energy with precision. If your presence feels fake, scattered, or unstable, her intuition picks it up instantly. It's not about being mean. It's about self-respect. She's had enough encounters with well-dressed messes and charming manipulators to know that external appeal means nothing if your core feels hollow. And this is where people get confused. They think they can win her over with status, power, or appearance. But a Sigma female is only moved by depth, authenticity, that stillness in someone who knows who they are without performing. If she can't feel your center, not your brand, not your persona, but you, then she'll move on fast because she doesn't need your story to be perfect. She just needs it to be real. She can handle flaws. What she won't entertain is the fake confidence, the borrowed personality, the emptiness hidden behind applause. That kind of energy doesn't pass her internal test. So if she seems uninterested, it's not rejection, it's clarity. Your packaging may be impressive, but if your soul is cluttered or disconnected, you're just background noise to her, and that's a language she stopped listening to a long time ago. Number 7, they read between your words, and it's usually disappointing. A Sigma female isn't just listening to what you're saying. She's watching how your eyes shift when you speak, how your tone tightens on certain words, how your energy flickers when you're uncomfortable. She doesn't need to ask 20 questions. Your body already gave her the answers. Most people don't realize how much they reveal without meaning to. They think they're playing it cool, keeping things vague or neutral. But to a Sigma female, those tiny shifts in your voice, that half-second pause before a lie, or the subtle way you avoid a topic, it all registers instantly. She doesn't call it out. She doesn't argue. She just takes mental notes. And when the emotional math stops adding up, she starts subtracting herself. She's not hunting for flaws. She's not waiting for you to slip up. She simply has a mind that tunes into subtext, the message under the message. And what she usually finds there is noise, contradiction, performance, or control tactics disguised as kindness. That's what drains her. Not your words, but the weight of what they're hiding. It's not that she expects perfection. She doesn't. She just wants truth, not rehearsed vulnerability, not half-truths layered in charm. Real truth. And when she realizes she's being handled, not heard, she detaches silently, cleanly. No announcements. She leaves when the conversation becomes a performance. When your energy stops matching your message, when she realizes you want her attention, but not her understanding. So if you ever feel like a Sigma female disappeared on you for no reason, think again. You probably told her exactly who you were, not with your words, but with everything between them. And once she saw it clearly, she left. Not in anger, in clarity. Because truth matters more to her than presentation every time. Number 8, they operate on instinct, not obligation. This is where Sigma females are radically different. Most people stay connected out of habit, out of guilt, out of a sense of duty to history, but not them. A Sigma female could have known you for 10 years and still let you go in 10 seconds if her gut tells her something's off. To her, loyalty is earned in the present. It's not a lifetime membership just because you once shared memories. She doesn't cling to people just because they were there before. Time doesn't equal trust. Proximity doesn't equal purpose. And she refuses to let the past hold her hostage. What guides her is instinct. Raw, sharp, often uncomfortable instinct. If something in her body tenses when you speak, if your energy feels heavy or misaligned, she doesn't explain it away. She listens. She honors it. And she acts quietly, quickly, without seeking permission. That's what makes her so rare. She doesn't need a scandal to walk away. She doesn't need proof or a dramatic betrayal. Her intuition is evidence enough. If her inner radar flashes red, the relationship is already over in her mind, even if the world hasn't caught up yet. And don't expect a warning shot. She won't argue, beg, or give you a breakdown of what you did wrong. She simply disappears because her loyalty isn't to people. It's to truth, to peace, to that deep sense of internal alignment that tells her when something no longer fits. This is why so many people are stunned when a Sigma female walks away. They think everything was fine, but what they missed was her silence, her subtle withdrawal. That moment her instinct whispered, "This isn't it anymore." And once she hears that voice, it's already too late. The cord has been cut, not out of anger, but out of deep, non-negotiable clarity. Number 9, they are allergic to guilt trips. If there's one thing that makes a Sigma female vanish for good, it's emotional blackmail. The second someone tries to twist her emotions, throw past kindness in her face, or make her feel guilty for choosing herself, she shuts down completely. She doesn't just ignore it, she's repelled by it. Sigma females don't respond to manipulation dressed as concern. They see through the subtle digs, the backhanded compliments, the "after all I've done for you" speeches. And instead of getting pulled into the drama, they go quiet. Not because they don't feel, but because they've learned that arguing with guilt trippers is like trying to hold smoke in your hands. It's not worth the energy. See, a Sigma female doesn't make decisions impulsively. If she walked away, it wasn't a random mood. It came after observation, self-reflection, and a quiet internal process that most people never see. So when someone tries to reverse that decision with guilt, it insults her intelligence. Worse, it insults her peace. She's built her life around emotional clarity, and guilt tripping throws chaos into the room. It's not just manipulative, it's disrespectful, because it assumes she can be pressured into staying in situations she already outgrew. It assumes her boundaries are flexible. They're not. She knows what emotional blackmail looks like. The fake tears, the timing, the carefully chosen words meant to trigger obligation. She's seen it all before. And while it may have worked on a younger, more forgiving version of her, the woman she is now doesn't bend. She exits. And when she does, there are no second chances, no explanations, no justifying her peace to people who never respected it. Just distance, unapologetic and permanent. Because for a Sigma female, guilt is not a sign of love. It's a trap, and she's not falling for it. Number 10, they don't ignore to win. They ignore to not play. A Sigma female doesn't see life as a competition. She's not ignoring you to get a reaction or to prove a point. She's not playing silent games hoping you'll chase her. In fact, The entire concept of manipulation and power plays feels beneath her. It drains her spirit, and she refuses to participate. When she ignores someone, it's not an act of war. It's a quiet exit from a situation that feels exhausting, pointless, or emotionally hollow. She doesn't need to outsmart you. She just doesn't want to be around what feels fake, calculated, or too much work for too little meaning. People who thrive on drama often misunderstand her silence. They think she's being cold, stubborn, or strategic. But the truth is, she's just not interested in games where someone always has to lose for the other to win. She's not wired that way. If it doesn't feel real, if it doesn't feed her peace, she opts out. Not to make a statement, but to protect her energy. Because when everything turns into a game, who cares more? Who texts first? Who apologizes last? The emotional cost becomes too high. And she won't spend her peace trying to keep up with people who confuse love with control or attention with validation. She leaves the game not because she's defeated, but because she was never playing in the first place. Her silence isn't strategy. It's clarity. And if you thought her ignoring you was about power, you missed the point. She's not trying to win. She's trying to stay free. And for her, that's always the higher move. Number 11, they've outgrown emotional babysitting. Sigma females are deeply intuitive and often the first ones to sense when someone is emotionally spiraling. In the past, they might have tried to help. They listened. They stayed up late talking others off metaphorical ledges. They gave second, third, and fourth chances. But something shifted. Not because they stopped caring, but because they realized the cost of carrying other people's emotional chaos on their back. They've learned the hard way that some people don't want healing. They want attention. They want a permanent emotional crutch. They want someone to clean up their mess every time they break something. And Sigma females, they've retired from that job. If your life is a nonstop emergency, if your mood swings like a wrecking ball, or if you expect others to hold space for you while you do nothing to grow, she'll clock that quickly and she won't argue, lecture, or confront you. She'll just quietly stop showing up. See, Sigma females love deeply but not blindly. They are not emotional dumpsters for people who refuse to take responsibility for their own healing. They've spent too many years absorbing the chaos of others, thinking it was kindness. Now they see it for what it often is, emotional dependency dressed as connection. She doesn't hate you. She's not mad. She's just tired. Tired of giving her energy to people who drain it. Tired of explaining the same truths to people who never listen. Tired of trying to rescue those who keep walking back into the fire. So yes, she may leave you on scene forever. Not because she's cruel, but because she finally understands that peace is not found in fixing others. It's found in protecting yourself from the ones who refuse to fix themselves. And once she's reached that place, there's no going back. In final words, sometimes silence is not absence, it is protection. Here's the truth most people miss. Sigma females do not ignore people to hurt them. They ignore people to stay whole. The silence, the distance, the quiet exits, it all comes from a deep understanding of their own limits. They know when energy feels wrong, when motives don't sit right, and when conversations become more about ego than connection. They are not here to explain themselves over and over to people who only listen to reply. They are not wasting emotional bandwidth on relationships that leave them feeling smaller than they are. This isn't about pride or revenge or attention. This is about peace, about clarity, about choosing not to carry what was never theirs to begin with. And for those who identify with this path, for the women who have been called distant, cold, or too much in their head, know this. Your instincts are not flaws. Your silence is not weakness. Your boundaries are not cruelty. You are a Sigma female because you have learned that your energy is sacred and not everyone deserves access to it. This world will try to guilt you for your distance. It will ask you to soften in places that nearly broke you. But the way you protect your spirit is not wrong. It is wisdom shaped by experience. You do not owe closeness to those who misunderstand your calm. You do not owe presence to people who only show up halfway. And most importantly, You do not need to explain why your silence is sometimes the loudest form of self-respect. If this is you, trust it, own it, and never apologize for being the woman who finally decided her peace matters more than being understood by the wrong people. That's not cold. That's powerful. That's Sigma. Thank you for watching The Spicy Ladies, and God bless.